So, hey everyone, it's me again, Brittany, and welcome back to my channel. I'm here today to do my March TBR, and yes, I do know that we are basically in the middle of March, and I'm the worst booktuber you probably watch. So yeah, let's just kind of get into it because I actually have quite a few books to talk about here today. So that's always exciting. I'm gonna try to give summaries, but there are a couple in here that I don't really just know very well, and I do like to go in at least sort of blind into some books. So yeah, let's talk about the ones that I do know something about. I have been in a major mood to reread a bunch of books, and one of those series is the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. This is what started it all, the Grisha universe. And King of Scars recently came out, and I actually received it in a box that I bought from Illumicrate. I haven't wanted to read it because I want to reread this series and then reread Six of Crows and then get to King of Scars, because I just feel like I wouldn't have an accurate representation of what King of Scars was like if I don't do all my homework, because I barely remember the Grisha trilogy. And the way I know that is because, if you guys weren't aware, I currently think that I like the Grisha trilogy more than Six of Crows, which I know is wrong because Six of Crows is obvious quality, but I really sped read Six of Crows, and it was in a time in my life where I wasn't reading a lot. While the Grisha trilogy, this was in the heart of my reading years. So I want to reread it, I want to give it a different chance. I mean, I don't think I'd reread all three of them, but I want to try and get to Shadow and Bone. I just feel like it would be a lot of fun to read. It's pretty simple writing overall. This book has to do with the Grisha, which is the people with powers in this world, like magical powers. There are three different kinds. There's the Corporal Kai, there's another Kai, and another Kai. I'm sure there's an explanation. I told you guys, I barely remember this. I do know that there's three different kinds. There's one that's like more elemental magic, one that has to do with your heart, and one that has to do with... This one's just going right over my head. Yeah, I really need to reread this apparently. But our main character is Alina, and she's a girl, just a regular girl that is kind of conscripted into the human army of the world, because you have your Grisha army, but you also have the human, like regular people army. And yeah, she's in that. She's just been very plain and regular her entire life until one day where she is passing through the Unsea, which is this area of just pure blackness in the world, where something happened years and years and years ago that left it without light and just stalked by the worst creatures. And while she's there, her friend gets hurt and something happens, and maybe she wasn't a regular human all along. Maybe she actually had powers and she just never knew about them. I am really excited. I don't know yet if I want to read it on audio, if I want to physically read it. I feel like I want to physically read it because I kind of want to annotate. But that's always how I feel before I pick up an audiobook. So speaking of old schooly books that I think will give me a lot of good feelings, I finally want to try and get to Bloodlines by Richelle Mead. This is a series that I've had very mixed feelings going into for a very long time, because if you guys didn't know, I'm obsessed with the Vampire Academy. I love everything about the Vampire Academy. I love Rose Hathaway and I love Dimitri, and I love all the problematic BS that goes into it, honestly. It's not the best thing to admit, but I still like it. When I knew that Bloodlines was coming out, I was kind of hesitant to pick it up. I just knew that it followed two characters that I wasn't all that fond of actually dating. Like, I didn't want them to date. I never did, and I still kind of stand by that, which is why I've never picked up Bloodlines, but I think it's finally time to give it a shot. I've heard many times, especially in my bookshelf tour, that you guys think that Bloodlines might be even better than the Vampire Academy, and even though some of you said it isn't, you did love that Rose and Dimitri appear a lot. And that is something that I would really like. And I've been debating actually rereading Vampire Academy, and I figure instead of rereading something, I might as well read something else that might give me the same kind of feelings. So I can't give you much of a summary on this without spoiling a lot of what happens in the Vampire Academy, but we are following different characters, but it is in the same world in the future, I think. So actually, one of the books, I've filmed this video twice because the first time I was blurry, so we're hoping that I'm not blurry in this one. But this is the only book that wasn't originally in my TBR, but I have since picked it up and forgot that I needed to add this to my TBR as soon as possible. And that's gonna be Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. I'm very excited that I finally picked this up. This is the illustrated edition. This is like a fancy, awesome edition, and I really want to be physically reading it, but I am currently listening to it on audio. I don't think audio is necessarily ruining for me. I actually think I really like the audiobook, but I also would like to be sort of keeping up physically with the book, especially because this one just has all those beautiful illustrations that go with the moment, and I want to read it physically. I didn't want to annotate this copy just because it's so freaking gorgeous, so it kind of works that I'm listening to it on audio. If you weren't aware, Game of Thrones is a fantasy book. It's an adult fantasy book, so I feel very proud of myself because you guys know I like adult fantasy, but adult fantasy is a lot harder for me to read than YA. And I have tried reading this in the past and I just could not get through it because it was so descriptive, so thick. And yeah, the audiobook is definitely helping with that. I'm actually really loving the audiobook and I'm loving the story. I've needed a Game of Thrones fix for a while because my boyfriend and I watch the show together, and so I can't watch it when he's not around, and I just want to finish the show. But I can read the book, and this is perfect. I just have been dying to read this series for so long now, and I'm glad that I finally did it. And I hope I finish it this month, but who really knows? Yeah, I don't know if you really need an explanation, but there's all these different families that are battling for the throne in a game. It's sort of like a Game of Thrones. I don't know. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm kind of in this very just YA, easy style writing mood. I don't know what it is. I feel like it'll just get me back into reading, that it'll like ignite my passion just like it used to. And so I kind of picked a lot of books that I feel would fit that category. And the next one that I have here is The Foxhole Court by Nora Sakavic. I'm actually really excited about this, even though I do have a weird feeling that it's gonna have that very like easy, cliche sort of writing style. I've heard nothing but good things about this series. Tons of you guys, after you saw it in my book haul, told me that I have to pick it up, that you haven't seen a lot of people read it, and that it is one of the most fantastic books and series. And this was gifted to me by Chandler over from Chandler Ainsley. And I've just been dying to read it. Like, it's caught my interest. I don't know much of what it's about. I think it's set in college, which is really cool because you don't see a lot of books that are set in college, so that'll be nice. And it has to do with lacrosse. I think that's all I know about this. From the things that I've heard, that's all I can tell you. There's a really great romance. It's set in college. It might have to do with lacrosse. Next up is another book that tons of you guys have been wanting me to read ever since I hauled it a long time ago. And it's one that I've always been hesitant to read because there are very mixed reviews in BookTube world of this book. Either people love it because it's trashy and they love trashy like YA, which I can definitely relate. I like trashy YA just as much as the next one. But for whatever reason, I was nervous that I was gonna hate this. And I thought that when I do read this, it's gonna be like a hate read. Like I'm gonna read it just to hate it and just roast it. But I have a weird feeling that that's not how it's gonna go because obviously I'm in a trashy YA sort of mood. That's The Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I know, I didn't even talk about it before I roasted it, basically, but I'm really excited. I just feel like I'm in finally the right mood to read this and the right mindset, and hopefully I don't hate it. Maybe I love how much I hate it. I don't know, guys. Maybe it's gonna be a love to hate relationship. We all know that's like my favorite one to read. So the gist of this story is that, well, there's people with silver blood, which are considered the elite people. They are basically royals in one sense of the word, and they have magic powers. And then there are the reds, which are the peasants, the commoners. They are magicless. And this story specifically follows a girl with magic powers that has red blood. Dun 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 dun. I'm really excited. I know that it has a love triangle in it, and I'm intrigued. This is for you guys, honestly. And then the last book on my TBR this month, I really don't know. I will likely not get to all these books, guys. Don't expect too much of me. I am a mood reader. I don't know why I do TBRs. On to the next and final book is Crown of Feathers by Nikki Paupreto. I wanted to read this before it came out, and then it came out last month and I had never gotten to it, which is so disappointing. But disappointing in me, not like anyone else. But this was also gifted to me during Christmas time from Rhiannon over at Crescent Moon Reads, and I've been so intrigued. I don't know anything, guys. I quite literally do not know anything about this, and I'm assuming it has to do with phoenixes. I love the legend of the phoenix. I love phoenixes and the idea of it and all that, and I think that it has to do with like a warrior girl or like a clan of people that ride phoenixes. I'm really not sure. I don't know. But it sounds badass. It sounds like kind of a twist on your regular dragon story, but with a phoenix, and I'm totally here for it. So I can't wait to actually read it and see what I think about it. It has officially come out into the world, so alright, well yeah, those are all the books that I'm sort of planning to read this month. It is a very loose TBR. These are all just books that I might potentially find the urge to pick up. Again, I don't really know why I do TBRs. I rarely stick to them, and when I do stick to them, I get very stressed because I just don't like sticking to, yeah. So I don't know, let me know what books you're gonna be reading this month, if any of the ones that I am trying to read this month are some of your favorites, or if you have actual summaries for the ones that I had no idea what was going on, you can leave those down below. I might not answer because, as I said, I like to go in blind sometimes. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I had so much fun making this video, and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye! You ever just trying to adjust your camera for like ever? Okay, that's like, oh no, because I need lip gloss. Lip gloss. That gloss, it's popping. I haven't talked about what they're about. Okay. Through the ripping, the dark link. It's so thick. It's so thick.